Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Creative Mind. I'm so excited to have here Saif joining me on this episode. Saif, I want you to please tell us a bit more about who you are and what is it that you do.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for this wonderful invitation. And I've been checking out your podcast. You're doing a great job.
Thank
Double
you.
thumbs up for your incredible work. Seriously, you had amazing guests on, and it's an honor and privilege, of course, to be on your podcast. And this will give me the boost as well to, launch my own podcast that I just keep on saying I'll do it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And
Yeah,
it never happens
yeah.
because, it's very hard because you have to come in with content, and try to do your best. So inshallah, one day I'll make it. So yeah, my name
Awesome.
is Saif Abdulla. I'm a father, blessed for, of course, husband as well, motivational speaker, certified motivational speaker, radio presenter, TV presenter as well, children's author, and of course, events MC, or some say host. So there you go.
Awesome. Amazing. I love that, like, you're everything. Like, you do a lot of things. That's amazing.
I'm still trying.
It's what?
I'm still trying.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know what? I was having this discussion with someone else earlier on was
Hmm.
they were saying, is are you supposed to be focused on only one thing, or is it okay to be a jack of all trades? So I feel like you're doing a bunch of things. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest, that's a great question. See, for me, I
Yeah.
would highly recommend if you're really good at something or like at one thing,
Mm,
it'll really give you that advantage that you can shine way much better because
mm,
multitasking sometimes it's a little bit dangerous or risky, I might say,
mm,
because you're going to miss out on stuff that you'll be like, oh, I didn't manage to do this and I didn't manage to do that, but I'm
mm,
capable of doing this. Okay, you're going to be focusing on one thing, but what
mm,
happens to the other, you're going to lose that.
mm,
So that's
yeah.
why for me, is that I do stuff that I know that I'm capable of. Like being an author, I
Mm,
always like have time to write a book because whatever's on my mind and in my heart, I'll just write it down in a note because I always have a journal. I always have a notepad next to me. So if there's something that I feel like I want to share with the people out there, I'll
mm,
just write it down and I'll note things down and I'll be like, oh, this is good for my next book.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say that it's easy to be an author, but if you're
Mm,
passionate about it, you love what you do,
mm,
believe me, you won't understand what multitasking means to you
yeah.
because you just love what you're doing. You're just a hard worker. You love to work so hard. For
Yeah.
example, I'm sure that you know Kevin Hart, right? This famous comedian. Everyone knows, like all of these like famous people out there, they know how hard Kevin Hart works. He wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He works really hard. He finishes his workout. He does podcast interviews. Right after the podcast interviews, he does audible interviews. He does a lot of things,
Mm,
and he has his own book. And he's touring around the world doing stand-up comedies and stuff. He's
mm,
doing movies. You
mm,
see, he's doing all of that. But why? Because he's passionate about it. He loves it.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're doing this. What motivates you to do all this is your parents,
Mm,
your kids back home, your family. So that's the best thing that I can say. Nothing's gonna stop me but God.
yeah,
So
yeah. And you did mention something at the very beginning where you said like you
mm,
want to start your podcast and you're gonna want to start it soon, but there's so much that goes behind the scenes. But also the fact that you write a book, so you wrote books, right? You write several children books, right? I think that's, in my opinion, I find that that's dedication. And you always mention like you have a journal with you and always have ideas to add to your book. There's something about this that I find very interesting is how do you end up gathering those ideas and eventually writing in a book or knowing that this is the title of the book, let's say.
well, to be honest, like speaking about book, on that note, for me, when I wrote my first book for children, because I used to work in the radio industry,
Mm,
I worked with children for almost 7 years and a half now. I used
mm,
to host a morning show with children. And it's just that even it's funny when parents say that I know how to communicate with kids.
mm,
And even though I don't have any degree, like, a
yeah.
certificate on how to negotiate with kids, how to make them understand what life is all about. So what popped on my mind, I was like, okay, throughout my 7 years experience with children, the first book that I wrote, it's called The Inspiring Kid.
Mm,
And it is a story about a child where he got, abused, he got bullied, he lost his parents, and how he made it throughout school by inspiring children, and how to stay positive as much as possible. And then everyone at the end of the day started loving him because he started throwing out campaigns about positivity, about happiness, about love, about, friendship and everything. And it worked out because at the end of the day, no matter how hard they try to knock you down, if you do the total opposite, they're going to start loving that opposite person that you are. You understand what I'm saying? Because you don't follow that circle. You don't follow what other people are saying to you. You follow whatever you believe in. So for me, writing that first book, that was really something that inspired me. So I just thought about that title by saying The Inspiring Kid. And at the end of the story, what most of the children loved about this book is that inspiring kid is me. That story is all about me as Saif, and the parents, the feedback that I got, they're like, Saif, wow, the story is amazing. And the last 2 pages, there are like several questions for the children as well to write. I don't want them just to read a book. I want them to understand a book. So, and also when it comes to, let's say, for example, stories or something like that, in my book, The Inspiring Kid, it's on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. I don't know if I can hook this up on your podcast.
Sure.
Probably somebody might buy my book. So speaking about The Inspiring Kid, the first 2 pages, it's all dark. It is all, I'm not going to say, it is all heavy stories. For example, it's about, me losing my parents when I was 3 years old in a car crash, and how I survived that, and how did I move on with that, because I was super sensitive and I used to listen to every single word that they used to tell me in class. It was all that. And then later on, I started rising by saying, you know what, let me change the topic and make children understand that it's okay to lose something in life, and God is always going to favor you with something else, or let's say something way much better, in order to understand. And I know that there's nothing better, of course, than your parents, but only God knows what's the best for you. And with all due respect for all the authors out there, I understand when you when you write for children, it's just that there's something. This is a main question, and I hope that you can answer me, or to your amazing, of course, listeners who are listening to you right now. It's just that why do we lie to children? Or let's put it in another phrase, why do we give them false hope? When they say once upon a time, life is all beautiful, nothing bad is going to happen to you. Believe me, everything is wow and wow. No, don't say that to children. Just go ahead and say, once upon a time, there was this kid. He used to struggle throughout life. And, he used to have bad days, but he did not give up. He used to do this and do that. He always listens to his parents. And there were days that he was not listening to his parents, and they were shouting at him because this and that. That's how you inspire children. You just don't go and say, wow, you're going to be like Goldilocks. You're going to be like Snow White, woohoo, and blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in that,
Yeah, no, I love the approach that you have there, because you're so right. I think we're kids, we're just so taught that this is we're so taught that life is so perfect, and then you're gone into the real world, and it's not the way that you envisioned it to be, and then that's where this anxiety takes place. And why is it different than what they told us life should be like? I love that, the way you're thinking. Yeah,
there you go. You see, because now you understand the concept. Why? Because it's just that throughout life, or let's say once you reach that teen level, or whenever you start having friends, making friends, you'll be like, in your mind, it's fully, let's say, brushed, where you're just like, oh, I'm going to have a beautiful life. Nothing bad is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. But what happens when you experience new people? They start hurting you, and they start, lying to you, cheating on you, or whatever it is, regardless. And then you'll come to notice, like, wow, my dad did not teach me that. My mom did not teach me that. I read a book that said, my life is always going to be perfect. What happened now?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, I'm just going to rephrase this. I'm not going to say all the authors are liars. I did not say that, but it's just that make children understand how real life is.
Yeah. Percent.
That's all.
You did mention that it, losing your parents at such a young age, did make you more sensitive as a child. And how had that affected you? Like, do you recall how your childhood was like and how that could have possibly influenced you in the ways that the things that you're doing now, like from being a TV presenter to a children's author to motivational speaker? How had, or being the father, like, how had that, you believe, affected your life growing up?
Well, to be honest, that's a very powerful and a good question. I love that question. To be honest, it was really hard losing your parents at the age of 3 because I don't even remember how they look like, what color skin they have, nothing at all, because they did not teach me what's right and what's wrong. And I got raised in Al Wasl Hospital for the orphanage care, and they took care of me. But there's a difference when you have a real father, that really loves you, and a real mother that taps you on the back, gives you hugs at the end of the day by saying, you know what, you did a great job. So that gave me the boost and motivation. And of course, I'm never, ever going to start my day, okay, without being grateful and thanking God for blessing me, of course, with another day. And he's the one who helped me succeed in life. I always start my day by saying, praise be to God, alhamdulillah. I always say that. Why? Because God keeps on blessing me every single day. He gives me the power. He gives me the positivity. He gives me that motivation. He gives me that inspiration in order to move in life. So with me, being like a radio presenter, I felt that love that God passed out to me, that love from the children, from their families, getting phone calls saying, Saif, we love you, Saif, you're the best and stuff. And parents saying, wow, you're super positive, Saif, your messages, how you direct it to the children. Sometimes they don't listen to us, they listen to you, Saif. And whenever we say, like, if you do anything bad, we're going to tell Saif, they'll be like, no. So, you know what I mean? So that's love itself. God will cherish, God will give you that moment where you have to cherish and understand that, okay, there is still love out there. I know it's a big loss losing my parents. It's very hard. Until this day, I'm not going to say that I don't think about them. I do. But I know that they're watching. They're just watching me and just saying, you know what, this guy's doing a great job. And that's what kept me going. I host events. I'm out there. I love it when people approach me. They're like, wow, man, your energy, the way how you talk, the way how you laugh, you make us laugh, So when I get all that love out there, I understand, like, you know what? I know that God did this, in a positive way for me. And now I have this message inside my brain, or let's say inside my heart, that I have to take care of my children. And I'm just showing them all that love that I did not get from my father and mother, but I'm just there for them now. I'll take them out. And sometimes we have arguments, me and my wife is just like, no, Saif, you're just, you're really taking good care of them, Saif, but you just have to, go easy on them. Just don't spoil them that much, but I just love to give them that love because I know how it feels. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
And speaking about my parents, just to finish this off, one of the most, let's say, emotional experience that I ever faced was graduating from college at the American University in Emirates. I have a bachelor's degree in human resources management. So what really happened was, at the graduation ceremony, we were all on stage, me and my best friends. There was like Khalid and there was like Mohammed next to me. And everyone was on their phones, it's like, hey, daddy, I can see you. Hey, mommy, I can see you. And, and what really dawned on me and what really got me is that when Khalid, he just turned his face, he's like, hey, Saif, where's your mom? Where's your dad? I was like, yeah, they're there, they're watching. And, but you know the story, but I cannot, tell them, of course. I don't tell anybody. This is a little bit personal, but I was like, yeah, they're there, they're watching me and stuff like that. But I know, they're not there, my story. So it was really emotional. But at the end of the day, when I finished, I hopped in my car. I had, several tears getting down out of my eyes, my cheeks. But I looked up and I was like, alhamdulillah, I know that you guys are happy. I was like, just looking at my parents, like my father and mother. I was like, I know that you guys are happy. So that, life is all about experiences, but it depends on how, hop on that car and, take that route and just understand that life is going to be bumpy sometimes. So
I genuinely just got goosebumps. Wow. But in terms of in terms of that journey for you, what gave you this hope of believing that there's a God out there. There is someone who's helping you. Because some people take a different route and say that, you know what, um, um, life is painful. I don't want to look. I don't want to find God or the goodness in people. Everything is so dark. When was it that you started to look at life in a way where it's like, you know what? No, life happens for me, not to me. When was that like shift?
Well, that shift, that's another powerful question. I love your questions. You've been studying really hard, huh? Okay, for me, to be honest, I can say this. At the age of 17 or 16, being an adult, where I understood like, okay, God is always there for you, and you have to understand. And I always recite the Quran right after the Fajr prayers, and I understand the blessings and understanding of God. And throughout His words, it's all about in Allahumma as-sabirin, like God is always with those who are patient. God is always going to be there for you. And I want you to practice this. For me, as a motivational positive speaker, I want you to place your hand right now on your chest where your heart is. Do it right now. All right. Can you feel that beat?
Yeah.
That means that you have a purpose in life, and God gave you a special day, and that's called a new day for you. And if He gives you that other day and your heart is beating, you have to understand that God is taking care of you, because you're taking care of yourself as well. He loves you. He's giving you a purpose. Okay. He understands that you're going through struggles. He understands that you're probably broke. You don't have any money. He understands that probably, you don't have a roof on top of you. Probably you don't have food. He knows that you have rent at the end of the day that you have to pay, that probably you cannot afford it. You're crying day and night. But why does He give you another chance? Why does He give you another day? And we all know how God loves us. If you're complaining just by saying, oh, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have a job, I just want to die. If you want that, God will be like, okay, you want to die? You're not even grateful. You're not even thankful. Why do we always say praise be to God? Why do I always post on my socials saying Alhamdulillah? And there are days, I swear to God, what's really good about my followers, I call them my family, honestly, because they really support me. If I'm not there posting something, they'll be like, Saif, اليوم, like, in Arabic, they say, Saif, اليوم ما حطيت صلوا على النبي ولا الحمد لله. Like, Saif, you did not post anything about praising God, and praying to the Prophet Muhammad. And I was like, wow, you know what? I'm inspiring people, but I did not know that.
Yeah.
So my purpose in life is always understanding that life is meant to be hard, but it depends on you whether you want it to be hard or not. Because if you wake up in the morning, and as I said, you just say Alhamdulillah الذي عافاني في جسدي ورد علي روحي وأذن له بذكره. So that means, like, thank you, God, for blessing me with a new day, and for reminding me, of course, that I am special and unique in this life. You have to understand that God loves you. Okay. And just go out there, keep on inspiring. God is gonna bless you one day. You just have to be patient. He's gonna give you that right time to shine. It's always about believing in yourself. You get what I mean? So
you did. Sorry.
And there's this saying, sorry to cut you off. And there's this saying that Will Smith said. It's a famous quote. It's a famous saying where he says, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both right. So if I wake up in the morning and I say to myself, I'm going to have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. If I wake up in the morning by saying, okay, you know what? I'm having a bad day, but you know what? I'm going to stay positive as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to smile no matter what happens to me. Yeah. But you have to understand this. Most of the people don't understand this. You have to embrace sadness, embrace happiness, and it depends on you how you want to make your day go.
100%. And
yeah, that's why people say, like, Saif, you're always positive, you're always happy, you're always smiling. MashaAllah, you're always. I go through struggles. I'm not gonna lie to you. I go through struggles. I go through pain, but I decide not to show you my bad face. You understand what I mean? I'm giving you the positive, Saif, to make you understand that, okay, life is still beautiful, because there are people out there, and I'm telling you this is a true fact. Like for you, Aida, for example, you have your fans. You have people following you on socials. You have your family loving you. And imagine waking up one day and you're always like crying, sad, sitting around the corner, just there, and always being like lonely, or, having that negative energy. People are not going to like you. They'd be like, what's wrong with her? I'm trying to lift you up. But if you're not planning to change, or if you're not planning to make that decision by saying, you know what, I'm going to be positive. I'm not going to let life knock me down. I believe in God, and I know God wants me to get over this. He's giving me a purpose in life. He's giving me a new heartbeat freshly in the morning.
100%.
You have to understand that,
100%.
So
And you know what's interesting about this whole thing is that at every given second, you have the chance to choose how you would want to feel like. So literally, you could have the worst thing happen to you, but then at that very specific moment, reminding yourself that, you know what, okay, this has happened. Let me think more logical, like getting yourself more grounded and aligned to really shifting your mindset, because with that shift in mindset in that second, you don't need to like start the day and plan the day and say, today's going to be a positive day, because in the middle of the day, in the middle of the second, something could go wrong and trigger you, and you can lose momentum, and you can focus on that activity and go down this loophole. But when you're able to notice and understand that every given second in your life, you have the chance to choose, and you're blessed to be existing, then you can slowly change into being more positive instead of like drowning into an activity, I'd say.
Can I add something just on that note? I really love what you said, and it's a true fact, to be honest. But for me, religious wise, okay, I know that I've been talking about God a lot because I always believe in God, and I always believe that God helped me, to be on this podcast right now. And he gave me this purpose for this day, to be here to talk to you and to your amazing fans as well. So just to make people understand and make you understand that without God, you are nothing. We are nothing. You get what I mean? And as you said, at the midday, probably something bad might happen. But what if I told you this really happened on my kid's life, my mother's life, my father's life? Alhamdulillah, I can swear and I can praise God for this. If you start your day with the Fajr prayer, like me being a Muslim, I start my day for the Fajr prayer. After that, I recite the Quran, and then I do the dhikr, like al-adhkar, adhkar sabah. I promise you, nothing bad is going to happen throughout your day. Why? Because you're protected by God. I swear to God, you're going to be protected. There were days that I faced, I'm not going to say consequences, that will be a good word, with people, because you're always going to face people who are negative. You're never don't tell me that your life is always going to be surrounded by positive people. Never. Never. You have to face people who are negative. Probably there might be, some of, let's say, for example, some of your listeners, probably they're super negative. They just want to know how you're doing it right now. They just want to listen and, crack a joke on you, or the way how you speak, the way how you ask questions. They just want to make fun of you. You don't know. There are people out there just watching every single step that you're doing. But I say, wow, Aida's, being successful. Look at her. She's having guests on her show. She's doing great now. Look at her. She's shining. But how is she making that? You know what? I'm going to start hating her. So that's why hate is a very powerful word, where people just want to use it. They just don't understand it, because you're doing way better than them. And why is that? Because God is helping you. He loves you. Because if you believe in God, believe me, you're going to achieve anything in life, regardless your religion, whatever, you believe in. If you believe in God, he's always going to guide you to the right path, no matter what.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing this. Just take this a bit on such kind of like switch gears. So I know you're Emirati as well, right?
Absolutely. Born and raised.
Amazing. So there's a lot of pressure on people who are in Emirat, they're locals, and say that, it's a topic that actually came up often a lot here. So I wanted to address it to you. It's like, oh yeah, they're super rich, they have tons of money, and they don't need to work a day. And like, why do they even bother? They have everything they need. Why are they even feeling depressed or lonely and all those things? So just can you give me your side of the story of like, how is it like to be an Emirati, or this, like, because people perceive them as a certain way. Can you add to that?
First of all, that's a good question. And in a funny way, you just answered yourself. Why? Because you just said this at the end, where you understand that people will address, or they'll just, stereotype, or they just put that image about you. For example, Aida, where are you from?
Jordan, originally.
From Jordan. Let's say, for example, someone says like they're famously known, like all the Jordanians, let's say for example, they're super, let's say, funny. Okay, they're super funny. Okay, and Emiratis, they're super rich. They have money everywhere. Okay, now if you come and talk to me, like for now, for example, what you're doing right now on this podcast, you'd be like, wow, Saif, this guy is super rich. He's a billionaire. Look at him and blah, blah, because he's Emirati. That's what's based on people's minds. Everyone says that. Every single country, they have a certain image. They have a certain name. They have a certain, let's say, Morocco, India, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, UAE, everywhere around the world, USA, you know, and it's not going to stop no matter what you do. So for me, being a local Emirati, I'm going to tell you, being number one, that's the best thing that I've learned from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. You know, his vision is to always be number one. His vision is always to be on top. And that's something that I love. He loves challenges. He loves everything. And look at us now, we're hosting Expo. That most of the country cannot host Expo. You get what I mean? So for me, being in the Emirati, I'm really, really proud, because wherever you go, I have one of the most powerful passports in the world that I could use. Like, wow, look at me, I'm an Emirati. So whenever you're out there, you're traveling, you have to represent your flag, your nationality in a positive way, in a powerful way, by being humble, being kind, being supportive, showing them love, showing them respect. You know what I mean? So because for every country that you go, you have to understand that, okay, they have a different point of view. They're living in a different culture. Everyone has their own, you know, culture standards, and you have to understand that. So for me, I might say, I know how people think like we're all billionaires. Yes, because back in the day, our fathers or our mothers, they're the one who are like working really hard to like for us to have a happy life. And all parents do that. Your parents do that. Whoever is listening right now, your parents as well, that's what they do. They try their best to make you, Ida, live a best life. And that's what I'm doing as a parent right now. I'm not going to say that I'm an Emirati who's a billionaire. No, I struggle in life. I'm totally broke right now on the 20th of this month, you know, like on this month. So it's okay, but I'm blessed and I'm thankful. Why? Because at the end of the day, I come back home. I know my kids are doing well. My wife is doing well. And I'm very, very, very thankful and grateful, you know, for trying my very best to just, you know, love them and give them everything that they need. But for children, for example, like once Hamdan, he reaches the age of 10, he'll be like, wow, my daddy's rich. Whatever I ask, he provides, you know. But you have to make your children understand that you cannot have everything in life. You know, not everyone is rich, but being rich is not always about money. Being rich is about being rich in heart. You have to be kind. You have to be rich with love, with respect. That's how you be a billionaire in life, because God would never, ever check out your status. He will never check out your fame. He will never check out your title, your job title, no matter what, regardless. God is always going to check your deeds. He's going to check your heart, your intentions. That's how he grades you from other people. So for me, I don't really, honestly speaking, I really, really don't care what other people say about my nationality or my country, the UAE. Like if we're bad, if we're good, if we're rich, if we're poor, I really don't care. But at the end of the day, if you check out the ratio, if you check out the status, if you check out all these successful things that's happening around the world, that everyone is putting their eyes on the UAE and Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you see, like we're one of the most safest countries in the world. And Abu Dhabi came in like second in the most safest cities in the world. Wow. So you have to understand that no matter what they say about you, you can always prove them wrong.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you talked a lot about like love so many different times. And what does love mean for you?
Well, for me, honestly speaking, love, I started saying the word love when I started working with children. Love for me is a very powerful word. Love is that, let's say, potion to make you understand that you are definitely special. Once you have that potion of love, you are meaningful in life. You have a purpose in life. I'm here to hug you. I'm here to show you what life is all about. Love means happiness to me. Once you have that potion, I just want you to enjoy and experience life. And I'm always going to be here with you to show you what really love is all about when it comes to support, when it comes to happiness, when it comes to struggles, when it comes to life itself. So for me, my friends, they know me very well. If I say like, you know what, man, I love you, man. You're really good. I love you, bro. If I say that, they know what I mean when it comes to love. You know, like for you, like Ida, I'm going to say, I love your podcast. What you're doing is a great job. And I'm starting to love you. That doesn't mean like in a romantic way. It's like, oh, I'm not single and whatever. You know, I'm not going to that phase. And when I say I love you, Ida, I mean, like, I cherish you. I love what you're doing, your hard work, your everything, like, you know, your plans or whatever you're doing in life, how you started off, you know, that's the word love for me, because nowadays I feel like love is an understatement nowadays, you know,
100%. And just
people don't know
used.
how to use it.
Yeah. So yeah,
If they just
100%.
met someone like, you know, first they're like, oh, I love this girl.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
yeah.
you don't love that girl, you like her. There's a
Yeah,
difference, you know?
100%. So, do you believe that someone is capable of giving or sharing love with other people if they themselves are not able to love themselves?
Absolutely. You're talking to the person right now. You know,
Okay.
I always
Okay.
give out love. I always give out love. And speaking about love, regardless, when it comes to companies, when it comes to people, they always want to come and just approach me. They would never even talk to me, you know, not even ask, how are you doing, whatever, on my DMs on Instagram. They'll just come in like, hey, man, how you doing, man? I really love your post, whatever. Can you promote this, please, on your page? Can you do this on your page? Man, we love what you're doing. And so I was like, okay, cool. No problem. I'll do it. No problem.
Yeah.
I follow them back and everything, and I post whatever. I want them to succeed in life. I wish them all the best, and they'll be like, "Thank you, man. You shared this. You know, we had people coming on our you know, like on our page, and they started liking us. Wow, Saif. You know what? You got loads of people." I do, alhamdulillah. I praise be to God for that. But as you said, sometimes I don't know. This is me for my personality. This is who I am. I always say this. I'm him. So if I don't get love, I'll still work so hard to spread love. I don't know why, because I feel like if I do that, I feel like I'm the one who's getting all that love,
Yeah.
you know, because you're always the reflection of who you are. Because if you look at yourself in the mirror and you just go out, Ida, you just be like, you know what, I'm going to love people today. If I go somewhere and say, wow, look at you, you have a lovely hair.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you, you got a lovely smile. Look at you. You want help? I'll help you. You want support? I'll support you. No problem. But if you don't get that back, don't be sad. Why? Because God is always watching you. You know, he's the one who's giving you all that love. Your parents are giving you all that love. But you just have to look for that certain person who deserves, or let's say, or who is valuable to understand that, oh, I'm getting love from this person. That's way far than enough, you know? Like that's the only thing that I need.
100%.
Like, for example, if like you're my best friend, we just met and stuff like that. And if I get all the love just from you, I'll be like, you know what? I'm happy. That's it. I don't need any other love from other people.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, I'm happy around Ida.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 100%. And for you, is there, let's say, someone specific you look up to or inspires you?
Oh, well, to be honest, that's a very, very good question. If you're gonna say that, I'm gonna say, I always say this on podcasts whenever I get interviewed, or on the radio or on TV, whenever they ask me like, who inspires you? To be honest, first, Prophet Muhammad. Okay. Second, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, may his soul rest in peace. All right. And third, of course, my children. And fourth, when it comes to, let's say, fame or growing up watching him, Will Smith. I love Will Smith so much. The way how he inspires the world. I love his character. I love his personality. Whenever I see Will Smith, I feel like I'm the reflection of him, because I love what he does. And whenever I do something, I'd be like, I watch his videos. I'm like, oh, I just did that, you know? And, you know, so I just feel I'm very close to Will Smith's personality. But even though at the end of the day, I'm my own inspiration. That's the best thing that I can tell you.
Mm.
You know, but if you say that I look up to someone in an inspirational way, I'm going to say Prophet Muhammad comes first, Sheikh Zayed, Sheikh Mohammed, Will Smith, my children. That's all, you know? So, yeah.
And what about your children specifically?
What about them?
Yeah. So what about them that inspires you?
Well, for me, it's just that they help me wake up in the morning, understanding that I have to work, you know, very hard to just provide food, bills to pay, make them sleep on the best beds that they can have, provide toys for them, best schools to take them. So for me, they are my motivation, because if I see them struggling, I know that daddy's not doing enough work. Daddy needs to work really hard. And whenever I host events, whenever I get all that money, alhamdulillah, I always save a lot for them, not for me. Like even me, and like I stopped going shopping now for myself, you know? I'm just like, what? Daddy's not even doing anything for himself now. He's just doing it for his kids, because they are definitely my inspiration. At the end of the day, getting that hug whenever I come back from a hard working day, or they just get that word by saying, Daddy, we love you. And they start kissing me and hugging me. I know, like, they are my inspiration. They give me that boost by saying, you know what, tomorrow's a new day. Saif, go work really hard for them, because they deserve it. Because me as a father, or someone out there as a mother, they understand what I'm talking about. Because being a parent, you really have to understand that, okay, you have to value yourself as well, but my children are the world to me. So I have to work really hard. And I know that I'm still not working really hard, because now I'm going to be launching a new business, inshallah, very soon. I'm going to have my own restaurant / coffee shop. So I want to bring in like a very good income. And whenever I feel like I cannot even manage, I'm going to let my son do it. You know, my eldest son going to do it. And then I'm going to pass on, you know, the same, you know, message about life to my kids. Because they are my inspiration, and I'm doing it for them.
Amazing. And if you were to say, if you had one thing to change about yourself, what would that be?
Nothing at all.
Nothing to change.
Nothing at all. I'm happy with myself, alhamdulillah. Because I know, because I don't need to change myself. Why? Because I'm perfectly made by God. And I know when it comes to personality, I did not affect anyone. I did not hurt anyone. I did not even, you know, do anything bad to somebody. I always inspire. I always motivate. I always make people laugh. I always, you know, whenever I attend, you know, seminars, whenever I go and do motivational speeches or something, I always help people out. So I know that I don't need to change anything with myself. And I'm going to tell you, I am not perfect. I'm human. I always have my flaws, but when it comes to flaws, like say, for example, I'm super sensitive. I overthink sometimes. It happens, but that doesn't mean that I have to change it in myself. Why? Because we're human. Nobody's perfect. But sometimes, you know, there are people who experience me. Sometimes they say, Saif, you're way too serious. Why do you always say no? Or why did you reject this? Why didn't you come to this? You know, and stuff. But people have to understand that they have to respect your opinion sometimes. If I say no, I cannot make it, I'm not going to say no and explain to you why I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm very sorry, my wife is pregnant now, she's at this hospital, you know, this is what's happening now, she's going to have her third kid or whatever. No, you don't have to know that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you like, no, I'm sorry, I cannot make it. But there are people out there that just want to know the answer. Like, Saif, why? No, tell us why you don't want to make it. And for them, it's just that I've learned this motto like since 2017, sorry. If there's something that doesn't like feed me or doesn't make me happy or doesn't like, let's say, give me that understanding that, okay, this is good for you or bad for you, I'm just going to say no. That's all.
But
you know, like when you sent me that invitation about that podcast, I was like, okay, I'll get back to you. You know, let me just check out this lady and I'll see how her podcast is going. Let me see the guests. Let me see, is this something valuable? Is this something worth it? And honestly speaking, not to sugarcoat or something, I was like checking. I was like, wow, this girl, you know, she's on track. She's doing a good job.
Thank you.
You know, and like, okay, let me do it. I could just say no. I've rejected loads of podcasts, you know, but because some of them just they don't understand what content they want, what message they want to deliver to the people. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it for clout, you know. That means like, you know what clout means, right?
Like just for the hell of it, for the vibe of it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, kind of, but it's like for the fame, just like, oh, I'm out there, you know, showing people like I'm out there. But
Yeah.
when it comes to questioning the guests, they don't even know how to like have
Yeah.
a conversation. They don't even know what to ask, whatever.
Yeah.
They just want to be out there by saying, oh, I have a podcast. You know,
Okay.
that's bad. That's
Yeah.
bad. So for me, when I studied you, I was like, wow, this she's on track. She's doing a great job.
Thank you.
So that's why I accepted it. I
Yeah.
could have said, you know what, I respect you, Ida, but I cannot make it, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
but
so.
you know what, you mentioned like being sensitive as something negative, or like earlier you mentioned that you are super sensitive. I think there was something that I actually shifted my perception about it too as well, was the idea of sensitivity does not necessarily need to be a bad thing, because with that sensitivity you're more aligned with your emotions, with your feelings. You know what excites you and what doesn't. You sense people's energy. You're like, okay, yeah, I vibe with this person. I want to spend more time with you. And sometimes you're like, you know, I don't feel it, and then it kind of guides you. So I think you being sensitive gave you also this connection with God, the being intuitive. So really, sensitivity is not a negative thing. Once you really understand it and trust it and flow with it, it becomes a superpower that a lot of people now want, to be honest, in this busy world that we're living in. It's like how do you, like you being always positive and motivated and having this trust and faith in something bigger and more powerful has to do, in my opinion, with that bit of sensitivity and the belief that the trust in it, and the feelings that you get when you are in that space. So yeah, I just felt it's like it does not necessarily need to be a negative thing. And then you mentioned the fact that you say no to certain things, and I think that's when you learn to put boundaries. And I think that's something that a lot of people who tend to be more sensitive are not familiar with, because you want to please a lot of people. And then slowly, when you start to say that, you know, I want to, in order to be the best me, I need to put boundaries. If I don't gel with that person, then I need to see why and not judge them immediately, but say, okay, we're not on the same page because of that reason, and just protect your energy and the things that you feel are going to feed better. Yeah, that's how I saw it when you were kind of describing it briefly.
Thank you, Ida. Well, to be honest, what you said, you just covered up everything that I wanted to say, because I'm not going to say sensitivity is a negative thing. I did not say that. The only thing is that not everyone understands your personality. Not everyone understands what the word sensitivity means, because I had friends who are my best close friends that made jokes out of it. It's like, Saif, into white Hassan, you know, like you're super sensitive. Don't do this, don't do that. Wow, this is not good, when whatever. But that really hurt me, because you don't understand me. You know,
100%.
if you're my best friend, you have to understand no matter what my flaws, you still gonna love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, for example, if you, Ida, if I say you're always like a crybaby, you're always crying. If I say something, you always cry. You always, you know, just cry. I say something, you start crying. I can say, oh, Ida, you're a crybaby. What's wrong with you? Why are you always crying? I'm like, well, but you're not gonna like me later. He's like, look at Saif, he's making fun of me. You know, even though we're best friends, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
So now I've reached to a point by saying, you know what, I'm gonna confront you. Like, Ida, you said that I'm super sensitive. I don't like that. You better stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we're gonna lose our.
It hurts even further more when it's the people that are closest to you, because you like them. So 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. So just, I don't want to take more time, but the final question.
For me, I love talking. You want to talk for 2 hours, 3 hours? I don't mind. Let's go.
What is your definition of success?
Oh, I love this question. Well, the definition of success to me is always having a roof on top of my head, having food for my children, providing, of course, for my children and my wife as well, seeing my family happy, working really hard, going out there, inspiring the world, making money. That's the definition of success to me, is always, let's say, always providing and you know that you can still provide for your parents, and always provide things for yourself, I feel like that's the best definition of success for me. Because if you cannot provide anything for your kids, for your, for your wife or anything, I feel like you're not a successful person. You need to work really, really hard. So yeah, that's the best thing that I can say.
And do you believe that you're successful now?
I am successful now.
Amazing. And what is the next, what is the next big goal that you have in mind that you want to achieve?
I just mentioned it. I said that I'm going to be launching my restaurant, inshallah, / coffee shop. And plus, I'm going to be having a new podcast as well. Yeah. And I'm going to be challenging you now. It's going to be, I'm watching you.
Awesome.
These are the two things that I want to accomplish in life. And then I'll know okay, now it's time for me just to, sit back and say, you know what, Saif, you made it throughout life. So these are the main two, let's say, goals for me to launch a podcast. And I already have a name for it. Do you want me to mention it?
Yes, if you want to, go ahead, of course.
Yeah, but don't steal it, all right?
Yeah, I'll try not to. I'll try.
And whoever's listening, I don't want you to steal the name, okay? It's already verified, and I have an account under that name as well.
Yeah.
It's called Face the Mic, Wajah al Mic. So I'm going to be doing Arabic and English, of course, interviews and talking about some, motivational, or let's say life in general, about experiences that I've faced in life, And
is it going to be just a solo episodes or with guests?
No, with guests, and there are some who are there are going to be some solo episodes as well. But you're really going to understand who really Saif Motivation is. So
how is doing a podcast, your podcast, different than the radio, doing radio?
Well, see, for doing the radio, there you have several content that you have to follow. Like you have a manager who's going to tell you, okay, you share this, today you talk about this, send me the report of what you've spoken on air. So it's like you're like a robot. That's why they call them radio jockey. So you just have to go on air. But I was so thankful. I would always say this, praise be to God. Why? Because when I was on Pearl FM radio, my manager was like, Saif, I just want you to be yourself, do whatever you feel like you want to do, inspire children, make them happy, and just don't say any bad words. I was like, okay, you have nothing to worry about. And that's where I started off, by saying my intro, where everyone loves my intro. And wherever I go, if I attend birthday parties, I love to do surprise birthday parties for the children. And the parents, they just love the phrase that I say, hey, and it's definitely a beautiful day, children, mummies and daddies, good morning, rise and shine. You're tuned in to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE. And we're broadcasting live at Al Jalila Culture Center for Children at Sakaim 3. Today is definitely going to be a beautiful, amazing, incredible, lovely, wonderful day. Let's go. So I just love doing that. That's my intro. And wherever I go, they'll be like, hey, my name is Saif, not hey,
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much, Saif. Is there a way people should follow you? Where should people find you? How could they reach you and follow
I don't want anybody to follow me. I want them to follow themselves. Follow your dreams, follow your passion. And
but really,
yeah, they can find me on all socials. Saif_motivation on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I mostly use Instagram and Twitter very, very on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Perfect. So I'll tag it below so people can also check out your page as well. Awesome.
Saif_motivation. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Saif, and for everyone listening. I hope you have an amazing, awesome rest of your day.